everybody. Today we're going to be working on lesson 2.2 in our Go Math books. And this is dividing by one-digit divisors, okay? So I'm going to tell you what pages you're working on first of all. So the pages we'll be working on today for this lesson is page 93 through 98. So if you don't have those pages in front of you, please go get them along with a pencil, a scratch piece of paper. Your whiteboard will work. I'm going to be using the whiteboard today quite a bit. So anyway, yeah, that's what we're doing today. So at the very end of this video, I will be assigning some homework problems for you to work on. And then of course you will go over to the Google Forms page on our sites page and you will fill those in and submit them to me, okay? I still have a lot of students that are not doing that, okay? You need to make sure you are doing all parts of your work, okay? Don't just pick and choose what you're doing. Don't just watch the video and then not do anything else. You need to make sure you're doing all parts, okay? All right, so we're going to hop right into page 93, and I'm going to move these other pages out of the way for just a second. So we're going to start on page 93 at the top. And I want to talk about a few things today that are going to help you throughout learning division, okay? So notice at the top it says divide by one-digit divisors. So divisors is a pretty big word, okay? Now I want you to underline it, and we're going to talk about another word today that you've probably heard before called the dividend, okay? And I want you to write dividend at the top. Dividend, okay? Now, as we've been learning about dividing numbers, okay, one thing you'll notice that these two words have in common is div at the beginning, div, okay? So the root of that word is divide, okay? Divide. So, as we've been learning about dividing numbers and things like that, I've been talking to you about the number inside the cage, for instance, okay? So the number inside the cage. So we call that number, there's a technical term for it, a mathematical term for it. So that number that we put inside the cage, okay, that is called the dividend. That's our big number, dividend. There is no end to the big number. That's how I remember it, okay? Now our divisor is the one that's looking in on the cage. So the way I remember it is it's a visitor looking in on the animals at the zoo. Okay, so this is our divisor. Okay, it's very important that you know this vocabulary, okay, because you will hear these vocabulary words quite often as we work and as you move on to 6th grade and things like that. All right, so let's look at the top where it says unlock the problem. So it says right here, Jenna's family is planning a trip to Oceanside, California. They will begin their trip in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and will travel 2,754 miles over 9 days. That's a lot of miles to travel. If the family travels an equal number of miles every day, how far will they travel each day? Okay? So, first of all, I want to look at this problem because there's a few things in here that's going to give me information, okay? So, we know she's planning a trip. We know where she's going. That's not necessarily information we need to know for the math, right? So, they will begin their trip in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Again, we don't need to know that information. We call that non-essential information. We don't need to know that to solve the problem, okay? Okay, and we'll travel 2,754 miles. I want you to circle that, 2,754 miles. That's a piece of information we need to know to solve the problem. We also need to know that they're traveling for 9 days, okay? So a total of 9 days in the car. That's a long time to be in the car. I mean, obviously they'll stop and stuff, but still, that's a long time to be driving in the car, okay? And then one word I want you to pay really close attention to is it says, if the family travels an equal number of miles every day, how far will they travel each day? So we're wondering how far they will travel in just one day, okay? So they give you some steps down here. I am not going to do it on this side. I'm going to do it over here where they give you this little grid. And the reason being is I think this will just confuse you. Okay, I'm going to be totally honest. This will confuse you. So we're going to skip over here to this side. So let's go. I'm going to scooch my page over just a little bit. I'm going to zoom in so you can see it better. Okay, so we have our dividend, which is 2,754. That's our big number inside our cage here. And they've drawn that cage for you. I have this line down the middle of my page. It just prints that way, so just ignore it. Then we've got our divisor, which is our small number here outside the cage. So we're going to take that divisor and we're going to see how many times it fits into these numbers as we work, okay? So I'm going to first ask myself, okay, 9 can fit into 2. It can't, right? If I have 2, you don't see any groups of 9 here, right? So there are no groups of 9 in 2. So we're going to go over to the next digit. So now we have 27, and I'm going to cover the 5 and the 4 for a minute. So now I'm looking at it and I go, okay, how many times can 9 fit into 27? How many groups of 9 are there in 27? So if I maybe, count by 9s on my hand, 9, 18, 27, there's exactly 3 groups because 9 plus 9 plus 9 is 27. So we're going to place our 3 above the 7 because there are 3 groups. And we're also going to be checking our answer at the very end. I'm going to erase this because that kind of looked like an 8. So let me rewrite it for you so you can see it. Oh, this pen doesn't want to work today. Oh my goodness, none of my pens. There we go. Just having a hard time. Okay, so we have 3. Then what we have to do is we have to take 3 and we have to multiply it by 9. Well, we just did the math. 3 times 9 is 27, and we subtract. 7 take away 7 is 0. 2 take away 2 is 0. Okay? Now we have to look at this, and we have to bring down the 5. Okay? We have to bring down that 5. Now we look at it and we go, okay, how many groups of 9 are there in 5? There's no groups of 9 and 5. 9 is bigger than 5, so it can't fit. So we have to use a placeholder of 0. And we do the same thing. We take 0 and multiply it by our divisor. So 0 times 9 is 9. Or, I'm sorry, 0. I'm thinking 1. My bad. Adding here. Okay, and then we're going to subtract. So 5 take away 0 is 5. 0 take away 0 is 0. 0 take away 0 is 0, obviously. Now we have to bring down our 4. Okay, and we want to know how many groups of 9 there are in 54. Okay, how many groups of 9 are there in 54? Well, I can skip count in my head by 9s. And I know that 9 times 6 is exactly 54. So I'm going to place my 6. And I'm going to multiply 6 times 9, which is exactly 54. And we subtract. We have no more numbers to bring down. We have nothing here. It just ended up being 0. So that means we do not have a remainder. So our answer is 306, okay? Now, before we do that, I want to check it, okay? There's a way to check it, okay? And the way that we do that is we take our number that we got, our answer, so that 306, we multiply it by our divisor, which is our small number outside the cage. And when we do that, we should get this dividend of 2,754. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to scooch down here on the page so I have enough room to work. So I'm going to take 306 and I'm going to multiply it by 9. Okay? This is how we check to make sure our answer is correct. So we take 9 times 6, because we're going to multiply 9 by all these numbers. So 9 times 6 is 54. We carry the 5. Okay? 9 times 0 is 0, but if we add 5 to that, we get 5. And 9 times 3 is 27. And we can write our 27 out here because we have no more numbers to multiply by. So this number here should match your big number inside the cage. It does, so we know our math is correct. So over here, it says, so Jenna's family will travel 306 miles each day. So every day for 9 days, they're going to get in the car and they're going to travel 306 miles. That is quite the journey for one day. All right, we're going to take a look at some more. Some of these may have a remainder, and I'm going to explain how we check that and how we check our work and everything, okay? All right, so we're going to actually skip over to page number 95. This is our share and show page, okay, page 95. And this is where our whiteboards are going to come in handy because they don't really give us a lot of room. I personally, myself, I write really big, so I always like to have extra room. And I do want to remind you that at any point you can go back and watch this video. You can also go through and pause it if you need to, okay? So we're going to be working through some of these problems together, and I want to start with number 1. And it tells us to divide, then to check our answer. Check your answer, okay? So I'm going to rewrite this problem on my whiteboard. I would advise you to do so as well so you have plenty of room to work. So we have 624 divided by 8. So 624 is that big number, which we call our dividend. And 8 is our divisor, which is that small number that's looking inside the cage. So we've got our small number looking in on our big number, our big scary number. That's why we put it in the cage. All right, let's take a look at this. We're going to go step by step, okay? So I'm going to look at it. I'm going to go, okay, 8, and I'm going to look at just the 6 to start off with. How many groups of 8 are there in 6? Well, 8 can't fit into 6, right? It's too big, so it doesn't fit. So we have to move to the next digit. Now I have to look at it and I have to go, okay, how many times can 8 fit into 62? Okay, how many times can 8 fit into 62? So if I skip count, maybe I don't skip count. Maybe what I do is I just create this running total and I add 8 up a bunch of times. Okay, you can do that if you don't know your 8s and you can't skip count. Well, I know that 8 fits into 62 7 times without going over, okay, without going over 62, but getting close. It doesn't fit exactly 7 times because 7 times 8 is what? 7 times 8. I want you to think about that in your head. 7 times 8. Okay, and that is what's going to tell us exactly what we have to do to subtract, okay? So we have 7 times 8, which is 56, and we're subtracting. Whoa, that was a tiny one. Okay, and I have to really pay attention to this. So 2 cannot take away 6, right? 2 can't take away 6. It's too small. So I have to borrow from this 6. So this 6 becomes 5. And the 2 becomes 12. 12 take away 6 is 6, and 5 take away 5 is just 0. Okay, we are not done. We have got to move that 4 down now. Now I'm going to look at it and I'm going to go, okay, how many groups of 8 are there in 64? How many times can 8 fit into 64? Well, if I know my 8 times tables and I can skip count through my 8s, I know it fits 8 times. And the beautiful part about this is it fits 8 times exactly because 8 times 8 is 64. And we do our subtraction. 0, 0, and 0. We have no more numbers to bring down, so we have no more numbers to divide by. And we don't have a remainder because we got 0 down here. So our answer is 78. Now, before we move on, we have got to check it, okay? And the way that we check it is we take our answer that we got, which would be 78, and we multiply it by our divisor, which is our small number. Okay, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to scooch over here so you can see. Now, I have to stack them when I do it because I can't do 78 times 8 in my head. So I do it like this. Okay, 8 times 8 is 64. We have to carry our 6. 8 times 7 is 56, plus 6 more, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62. Okay, so I got 624, which should be my big number, and it is. So we know that 78 is our answer. Okay, 78 is our answer. All right, we're going to do a few more. I want to work on number 3 because I'm going to tell you why. Oh, we can't forget to write our answer in here. Let me find my pen. So make sure you write 78 on there. We're going to do number 3, and the reason why I want to do number 3 is because there is going to be a remainder, okay? So I'm going to flip my whiteboard over, and I'm going to use the back side. I'm going to write this problem down here. So our dividend is 1,027. 1,027, that's our number inside the cage. And our divisor is 4. So I've got to put that outside the cage. That's our divisor, our small number. All right, let's take a look at this together. So, sorry guys, I was having a problem with this mic. Okay, here we go. So we're going to focus on one number at a time. So I want to know, is there any groups of 4 in 1? Can 4 fit into 1? No, it cannot. So we're going to move on to the next number. Now we have 4 into 10. How many times can 4 fit into 10? How many groups of 4 are there in 10? So I would say 2, because if I count by 4s, 4, 8, 12, 12 is too big. So 4, 8, that gives me my 2, okay? 2 times 4 is 8, and we do our subtraction. Okay? And we're going to subtract. 0 cannot take away 8, so we borrow from the 1. This becomes 0. This becomes 10. 10 take away 8 is 2. And we bring down the 2. Okay, bring down the 2. Now I have to look at this and I go, okay, how many groups of 4 are there in 22? How many times can 4 fit into 22? Well, let's count by 4s. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24 with 6. That's too big, so 5 times, because it gets pretty close, okay? 5 times. And we know that 5 times 4 is 20. And we do our subtraction. Whoa, I totally messed up on that. 2 take away 0 is 2. 2 take away 2 is just 0. And we have a number to bring down. We have to bring down that 7. Now I take a look at this and I go, okay, how many times can 4 fit into 27? Okay, how many times can 4 fit into 27? So let's count by 4s. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. 28 is too big, so we have to go back 1, which means it fits 6 times. So we place our 6. 6 times 4 is 24, and we do our subtraction. 7 take away 4 is 3. 2 take away 2 is 0. 0 take away 0 is 0. We have no more numbers to bring down, so we know this number is our remainder. We're going to write that with a small r and place the number. So our answer is 256, remainder 3. Now, this is where we check the answer, okay? We're going to check it the exact same way. The only thing that's going to be different is this 3 is going to change things a little bit, and I'll explain that when we get there. So over here off to the side in this blank space, I'm going to rewrite this problem to check it. So I take my answer, not including the remainder. So I have 256, and I multiply it by the number outside the cage, which is my divisor, by 4. Okay. 4 times 6, so we're going to do the math really quick. 4 times 6 is 24. Carry the 2. 4 times 5 is 20, and we add 2 to that, so that gives us 22. Carry the 2. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 more is 10, and I have no more numbers to multiply by, so I can just write 10. Now, this is where our divisor comes in, or I'm sorry, our remainder. So this remainder here has to be added to this. So we're going to add 3 more to that. 4 plus 3 is 7, 2 plus 0 is 2, 0 and 1. So we got 1027. Is that what was in our box? 1027. So we know for sure that 256 remainder 3 is our answer. So anytime you're checking it, you take the number, you multiply it by the divisor, and you add the remainder. Okay? All right, I want to do one more, and I'm going to pull it from numbers 8 through 15 at the bottom. Okay, 8 through 15 at the bottom, because I want to show you how those need to be set up. Okay, and let me find something to erase this with, because I am totally forgetting that. So give me 1 second. Okay, let's take a look at one of these from the bottom here. I got this nifty little eraser. Okay, so one of these from 8 through 15. I want to do number... I want to do 12. I think 12 is a good starting point. Okay, let's look at 12 together. Okay, number 12. I'm going to write it first off exactly how they have it. So they have 1,326 divided by 4. Okay, whoops, couldn't see that because I was totally blocking it. 1,326 divided by 4. Okay, now, I'm going to tell you right now, this is ugly. I do not like this. Everything's crazy. We have to think about it like if we're at the zoo. The big scary number, the big scary animal is outside the cage. And we don't know why he's outside the cage. And that little number there, that number 4, is still inside the cage. Okay? Or I mean, he's not inside the cage. He's outside the cage as well. So we have to cage that big number. Okay? So we're going to draw our cage. And we're going to put our dividend, which is our biggest number, 1,326, inside the cage, and our 4 outside the cage. Much better. Now that big giant number's contained in there, okay? I'm going to erase this because I'm going to run out of room if I don't, okay? So now that we've rewritten this problem to help us, we're going to solve it. Oh, let's wait for that bell. All right, here we go. So we're going to take a look at it one number at a time. How many groups of 4 are there in 1? How many times can 4 fit into 1? It can't. So we have to move to the next number. How many groups of 4 are there in 13? Well, we know 4 can fit into 13, but how many times is the question, okay? So we're going to look at that. So we're going to count by 4s. 4, 8, 12, 16 is too big, so we take 1 away. It can fit 3 times without going over, but getting close. 3 times 4 is 12, and we subtract. 3 take away 2 is 1. 1 take away 1 is 0. And we bring down that next number. Okay? If you have to pause or go back, please do so. Now we're looking at it and we go, okay, how many groups of 4 are there in 12? Let's count by 4s. 4, 8, 12. There's exactly 3 groups. So we're going to place our 3, and we're going to times that by 4. 3 times 4 is 12. And we subtract. 2 take away 2 is 0. 1 take away 1 is 0. Bring down our 6. Okay. How many groups of 4 are there in 6? Well, let's count by 4s. 4, 8 is too big, so we take 1 away. Only one group, okay? So we have to place our 1 up here and times it by 4. 1 times 4 is just 4, and we subtract. 6 take away 4 is 2. We have no more numbers to bring down, so this number is our, this number right here is our remainder. So we have 331 remainder 2. Now we're going to do our nifty little checking strategy to make sure we have the right answer, okay? So we're going to take a look at, we're going to ignore that remainder for just a minute. We're going to take a look at that big number. We have 331. We're going to multiply it by 4. So let's do that. 331 times 4. And I have to stack them. I cannot do that in my head, okay? 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. So we have 2, carry the 1. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 more is 13. And we can write that because we have no more numbers to multiply by. This is where that remainder comes in. We have to add 2 more to this number. Add 2. So we have 4 plus 2 is 6, 2, 3, 1, 1,326, 1,326. So we know for sure that our answer is correct. Hooray, hallelujah. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to assign your math problems for you. I want to remind you that if you are struggling, you can always come to office hours from 12 to 1 every day and get extra help, okay? All right, let's take a look at our practice and homework page. This is page number 97 and 98. First thing you're going to do is put your name at the top. I want you to be aware that you have to divide here, but you also have to check your answer. So I want you to check your answer as well, okay? I want you to do 2, 3, and 4 on page 97. Then I want you to do number, let's see. Hold on. 8 and 9. And I also want you to take a look at number 4. I want you to look at 2 and 4 on the back, okay? So one more time, I want you to circle these if you did not the first time. If you have to pause it, go ahead. On page 97, you're doing numbers 2, 3, 4, 8, and 9. And then on page 98, you are doing numbers 2 and 4. Once you work through these problems on your paper, and you've done the work and you've done all of the checking, you're going to go over back to our classroom page and you're going to submit your homework answers, okay? Again, I have very few students that are doing that. You need to make sure you're doing all parts of this. Have a great day. If you need help, come to office hours or give me a call on our classroom phone. See you later.